elections in the Cayman Islands, proudly hosted by the Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce. My name is Omari Corbin, and I'm honored to serve as the current president of the Chamber of Commerce. I'm also pleased to be one of the panelists posing questions to our candidates this evening. Before we begin, I would like to sincerely thank the three Cayman Brac East candidates, Mrs. Ruth Ann Borden, Mr. James Christian, and Mr. Dan Scott, for accepting our invitation to participate in tonight's forum. By appearing together on this platform, you demonstrate a shared commitment to the democratic process and to the people of Cayman Brac East. Your presence signals your readiness to address the pressing issues raised by the community through a recent chamber survey, which has helped shape the questions that we'll be asking tonight. While time won't allow us to cover every question submitted, we will do our best to focus on the topics identified as most important to voters in the Cayman Islands and Cayman Brac East. When the Chamber was founded in 1965, it was built on the principles of supporting, promoting, and protecting the interests of our members and the wider community. Remaining strictly nonpartisan, we have proudly hosted these candidate forums every election year since 1988. We've provided a neutral platform for 9 elections, allowing voters to hear directly from those seeking public office and helping our community make informed decisions on election day. The questions for tonight's forum have been carefully developed based on past and current chamber surveys and our 3-year advocacy agenda and submissions from public in various constituencies. No candidate has received these questions in advance, ensuring a fair and open discussion. As an organization committed to supporting a strong and sustainable Cayman, the Chamber's advocacy efforts focus on 3 key pillars: building a future-ready workforce, sustaining economic success, and advancing quality of life. The newly elected Chamber Council believes that these pillars are fundamental to the continued growth and prosperity of our islands. Looking ahead, the Chamber intends to collaborate with the incoming government to develop a government accountability scorecard, ensuring accountability and transparency. Additionally, we will seek representation on key government boards and authorities, as we believe our members bring valuable expertise that can help shape effective policies and initiatives. These forums require months of coordination, and I'd like to acknowledge the tremendous efforts of Will and our chamber staff who have worked diligently behind the scenes. I'd also like to express our gratitude to Ashley Furniture and Home Store, Foster's, CUC, and Logic for their generous sponsorship, which has made these forums possible. Additionally, we appreciate our media partners, Cayman Mall Road, Cayman Live TV, and ICCI-FM for broadcasting tonight's event. We are live streaming the forums, making it easier than ever for voters to tune in from the comfort of their homes. We hope this added accessibility encourages even greater participation in the democratic process. And now, it's time to begin. I'll turn the proceedings over to Will Panu, CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, who will serve as tonight's moderator. Will outline the forum's rules and introduce our Cayman Brac East candidates.
Good evening, candidates.
Good evening.
Here are the rules for tonight's forum. Each candidate will be asked a series of questions. You'll have 2 minutes to respond if you wish to do so. I'll notify you when the time has elapsed, that 2-minute time, with 1 ring on the ringer, and at that time I'd ask you to wind up your thought. Each candidate will be allowed to answer the question without interruption and is free to differ with an opinion or position of a fellow candidate during your allotted response time. And at the conclusion of the forum, each of you will be allowed a 2.5-minute closing statement. I'd like now to introduce our candidates, and we'll begin with Mr. Dan Scott, OBE JP, is running as a candidate on the Cayman Islands National Party for Cayman Brac East. Mr. Scott is a notary public and a financial expert and a lifelong public servant career reflects integrity, dedication, and a deep commitment to the Cayman Islands. Mr. Scott began his journey from humble roots, earning a Bachelor of Science in Accounting before joining Ernst & Young in the Cayman Islands in 1983. Over the next 4 decades, he rose through the ranks to become partner in 1993, regional managing partner in 2005, and market segment leader in 2015. As a managing partner of Ernst & Young's region covering the Bahamas, Bermuda, BVI, and the Cayman Islands, Mr. Scott played a key role in guiding the firm's asset management and hedge fund practices globally. He served on the EY Global Hedge Fund Steering Committee and EY America's Advisory Council, where he helped to shape international strategies for complex financial structures and advisory services. Beyond his corporate achievements, Mr. Scott has remained deeply engaged in community service. He has served on multiple boards, consistently advocating for Caymanians and the country's long-term interests. Known for his fairness, transparency, and collaborative spirit, Mr. Scott is respected not only for his professional success, but also for his personal integrity. Despite his global experience, Mr. Scott remains grounded, approachable, and focused on giving back. His vision, leadership, and dedication to uplifting his community are at the heart of his candidacy. Welcome, Mr. Scott.
Thank you.
Mr. James Christian is running as an independent for Cayman Brac East. Mr. Christian is a proud son of Cayman Brac who has dedicated his life to serving his community in various capacities. Born in Grand Cayman and raised in Cayman Brac, Mr. Christian has been married for 34 years and is the father of 4. He began working in construction at the age of 14 alongside his older brother. During summer breaks, he traveled to Grand Cayman for additional work, including on cruise tenders. After graduating from Cayman Brac High School in 1987, he worked full-time in construction until 1990, when he joined the Cayman Islands Fire Service. He served with distinction for 18 years before retiring in 2008. His commitment to the Brac doesn't stop there. Mr. Christian has been active in community projects, including work with the Rotary Club and Island Builders. He contributed to the West End Community Park, helped build a multi-purpose facility on the bluff, and played a role in constructing the Island Sports Complex and 6 affordable homes. In recent years, he's focused on helping elderly residents with home maintenance, painting, and other odd jobs. Through these quiet acts of service, he saw firsthand the growing needs in his community and the lack of meaningful action to address them. Encouraged by his friends and neighbors to take a stand, Mr. Christian is running in the 2025 election to be a strong, hands-on voice for Cayman Brac East. Welcome, Mr. Christian.
Thank you.
Mrs. Ruth Ann Bodden is running as an independent candidate for Cayman Brac East. She's a proud Cayman Bracer, lifelong public servant, and passionate community advocate. Born in Creek and raised in Watering Place, Mrs. Bodden comes from a family of service, with both parents serving as police officers, and as the eldest of 5 siblings, she developed a strong sense of responsibility and leadership early in life. After graduating from Cayman Brac High School in 1985, she began a 40-year career in tourism and finance, spanning 24 years with Cayman Airways, where she held both financial and cargo operations roles. Beyond her professional achievements, Mrs. Bodden has dedicated her life to uplifting her community. A registered foster mother for 17 years, she has provided care and stability to children in need while championing programs that support youth, education, and family welfare. She's actively supported local charities, elderly assistance efforts, and scholarship initiatives, always focused on giving back. Her commitment to self-sufficiency is reflected in her passion for farming, gardening, and promoting food security through sustainable agricultural practices. She believes in empowering individuals and building strong families, which she views as the foundation of a strong community. Mrs. Bodden is renowned across Cayman Brac for her warmth, humility, and ability to connect with people from diverse backgrounds. A proud mother of two, she is stepping into politics with a clear mission to serve, uplift, and be a voice for the people of Cayman Brac East. Welcome, Mrs. Bodden.
Thank you.
We're going to take a short commercial break, and when we return, we'll begin the questioning of each of the candidates. Please stay tuned.
When you run your own business, you have a career as an accountant, stock taker, delivery driver, therapist, legal expert, mother, father, and the rest. But there's one area you don't need to be an expert in. At Brava, we take the complexity out of your business solutions. We keep it simple, so you can get along with doing what you do. Brava, the Simplify My Business company.
Why is my bill higher? These days, it might seem like the cost of everything is going up here in Cayman. When it comes to your energy bill, this may be no exception. You may be wondering why your bill is higher when you haven't done anything different in your home. Here are some common factors that will increase your energy usage. As temperatures outside increase, your air conditioning unit has to run longer to keep your house cool, even if you haven't adjusted the thermostat. During the summer months, cooling your home can make up more than half of your energy bill. It's important to maintain your AC so that it can function as efficiently as possible. Changing your AC filters can also help with ensuring units are functioning properly. Remember, for every degree you turn up your thermostat, you can save on your monthly energy cost. Turn off your AC when no one is home. Thermostat should not be set any lower than 78 degrees. Also consider closing blinds and drapes on the sunny side of your home. This will help reduce the temperature inside your home. Remember to consider energy waste. Think about the items in your home that are using energy, like gaming computers and ceiling fans. Always unplug and turn these items off when they are not in use or needed. This will help you conserve. Now that you have some energy saving tips, you can track your consumption daily on MyCUC. Learn more at www.cuc-cayman.com.
Welcome back to the Chamber of Commerce Candidates Forum for the constituency of Cayman Brac East. It's now time for the questions for this evening, and I'll turn it over to Chamber President Omari Corbin.
CUC chart.
Mr. Scott, we'll start with you for question number one. Why have you decided to run in this election, and how do you plan to represent the people of Cayman Brac East if elected?
Thank you very much for the question. It's interesting. For me, I have spent 40 years in a career, having retired, and I must admit, standing for public office was not on my to-do list. Indeed, my plans were to spend far more time in Cayman Brac, as well as Little Cayman, and that we escape some of the hustle and bustle of Grand Cayman, and perhaps get a bit of fishing in as well. The more time, however, that I spent in the Brac, it became quite clear that there were serious challenges facing our people. As I spoke to people, both young and old, it was obvious that they were struggling with cost of living, struggling with things such as lack of jobs, struggling with healthcare. They're having to travel to Grand Cayman far too often to seek healthcare. And it goes on. Indeed, in many cases, they're struggling to simply put food on their table. While at the same time, you have failed government policies that are investing in all sorts of things for a select few. The average Cayman Bracer is in real trouble. For me, it became something many people had asked me about running, which I must admit, retirement was looking good, But as I reflected on it, the reality is someone paid it forward for me. And having spent time, I had developed the skills, the expertise. And so the reality is I couldn't just sit by and talk about these things. There was the feeling I had to get involved so that I could help, both in Cayman Brac and indeed in the broader Cayman Islands, because the truth is the same challenges we're having in Cayman Brac East or people are having across the entire Cayman Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Mr. Christian?
Good evening, to all of you. The reason why I'm here, clearly, I decided to run for this 2025 election is because of, and should I use this word, tired of seeing people being treated as second-class citizens in our own country. Our past MPs, governments, for the last 20 plus years has done absolutely nothing for the people of Cayman Brac East. Nothing. I intend to represent the people of Cayman Brac and the Cayman Islands on whole with real action, integrity, and results. We can't afford to sit down and allow our people to suffer anymore on promises. It's only a comfort to a fool's heart, is what my father taught me. It's time to put that to sleep. It's time for a new stance, and it's time for a new change. And come April the 30th, you make your choice. I will be that change. I am a Braca, a wholehearted Braca, a hard-headed Braca is what they call us. 100%. It ain't no coming and it ain't no going. When you get me Cayman Brac, I am Cayman Brac. You find me Cayman Brac, you know where I live, you know my number, you know how to find me. I'm there for the people, and I will always be there for the people. When the people needed help from down in the 80s, when the radio station started the talk show, I was one of the only 4 on Cayman Brac that stood up for the people of Cayman Brac. And I intend to do that for the rest of my entire life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Christian.
Thank you.
Mrs. Borden?
I have decided to run for the election in 2025 because for many years I stood on the back scene of a lot of things that were implemented by my voice. So I figured it's instead of standing behind and pushing people forward, it was time for me to step forward because I was the voice that was behind. I've always advocated for everything for the Brac. As I worked for Cayman Airways, I encouraged a lot of things to be put in place for the Brac. I support the young people because their voices is like they're not heard, and they are our future. One day we will have to vote for them. So to put them and educate them now on what is taking place in our country, they're feeling it the most because of being held back in so many areas. With education, they're not being seen and understood when it comes to how they're placed in where they're placed in our society. So to move forward with those, with helping the youth, we need to put in more youth programs and educate them more when it comes to our financial way of life and how they can control the way our cost of living is by the decisions they make. So certain roles need to be put in school for financial learning to assist them with this, the way that our cost is affecting not only the Cayman Islands but on the whole world, the way that we're going. I've always represented Cayman Brac in every role that I played. Wherever I go, whatever I'm asked, I make sure to put, I'm a Caymanian, but I'm a Bracker. I applied for a job before and I was told I'm not a Caymanian because of where I was born, because I'm a Bracker.
Thank you, Mrs. Bodden.
For round two, Mr. Christian, I'll start with you. It has to do with national issues. So, what are the three national issues you would prioritize if elected and why?
My three issues that I would like to focus on concerning the people of Cayman Brac and possibility the people of Cayman and the whole Cayman Islands in general. And that is jobs, affordable homes, and minimum wage. These three things have been taunting and haunting the people, especially of Cayman Brac. We need jobs created, more jobs on the Brac for our young and middle-aged people. To do this, we need to start by my take on this is to start retiring some of those that been in the system far too long. Some of them are up in their 70s, their 80s, and don't want to step aside. Our young people cannot get jobs if these older ones can't train them in order for them to move on and move in this life of jobs. They're not going to get a chance. Affordable homes is one question that I always ask myself. I built them, and I ask myself, how can Cayman Bracers afford affordable homes when the people of Cayman Brac doesn't have any jobs? They can't pay their loan on these affordable homes. First of all, they bill them too large, and the people can't afford the loans. To me, it just don't make sense. It has something there has to come to agreement, and something has to be changed. It have to be where the homes are built for Caymanians and Caymanians only. Minimum wage is something that our people can't live on. We cannot live on minimum wage. $6.50, $4.50, $5.50, $8.50, even $9 to $10 is too little. Gas alone in Little Cayman is $7 and change. How are people going to survive like that, making minimum wage? It has to stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christian. Mrs. Bodden?
To address the three top subjects, it would be police, border control, and education. For the Brac, we do not have a police station. We're renting a space. We have officers that don't have tools to do their jobs. They're understaffed. In the 1980s, we had 12 police officers. It's now 2025, and we only have 9. So it's no way that crime have decreased. It's just that the funding is not there to support what we need for the Brac. For border control, I was instrumental in the Cayman Islands Coast Guard with the vision that I had for it to be created. But part of that creation was for the base in the Brac, which has not been accomplished as yet, which I will be enforcing for it to be done. Because we're getting too much people visiting that does not come through the right channels to Cayman Brac and to Little Cayman. And if we had someone that went fishing and hasn't returned, we have to wait 4 hours on a calm day for a response from Grand Cayman to the Brac. Every second counts. For education, I would like to see a TVET or trade school provided for us in the Brac so that children are not left on graduations. You'll see 5 or so left behind because everyone else is on honor roll. By the time a children reach 6th grade, you should know if that child is going to be doctor, lawyer, or accountant, or is he going to be our next plumber. So we have to put things in place so that when they graduate, they also receive a certificate of stage 1.
Thank you, Mrs. Bodden. Mr. Scott?
Thank you for the question. And I think the question is, what are the top 3 national issues that you would prioritize? I think the top 3 that I would list are ultimately encapsulated in one, but I will cover them. It's for Grand Cayman, it's unfettered development. It is the cost of living, which is creating a real issue for Caymanians to own homes. And the other one are jobs for Caymanians. Despite all the opportunity and economic growth, Caymanians are struggling to get jobs in their own country. This ultimately all gets encapsulated in, frankly, unfettered immigration, and in particular, as it relates to importing cheap labor. And the challenge with that is that it undermines the workforce in the Cayman Islands because Caymanians simply cannot live on $6 an hour. Equally as well, when you look at where this all falls out, bottom line on this is government waste is continuing to create a challenge for us. We need to be far more focused on how do we address these things, proper legislation to manage immigration, enforcement of it. Similarly with development, we need to make sure the question is answered, who are we building for? It has come a time in our country that we must prioritize Caymanians. Without question, we are finding ourselves in the position that our people are leaving our country. Not only the young people, but those when they reach the age of retirement are choosing to go and live someplace else because they simply cannot live in the Cayman Islands based on cost of living and frankly, based on lack of opportunities. As it relates to the retirement age, I would actually move away from a mandatory retirement age because we have many of our people who still have a lot to contribute.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Mrs. Borden, we'll start with you for question number 3. And to the candidates, the next 4 questions will be based on the Chamber pillar of advancing quality of life. Are you satisfied with the current healthcare services in Cayman Brac? What specific improvements would you advocate for?
I'm not satisfied with the health services for the BRAC, as we do have people that is handicapped and has medical problems and they're not getting the service that they need. We have the Synco insurance, which was supposed to cover all Caymanians, and for our elderly to get health insurance, they have to go through the financial support unit and apply for help, and it takes a while to get assistance, and every 3 months they have to keep renewing their health insurance. They have to be evaluated to be able to have health insurance, and it's not feasible for them. And we have some people that have like heart problems and they have to keep getting stressed because they have to apply to get health medical assistance for their problems over there. And to fix this, we need to take care of, like, children should have insurance up to the age of 18 when they become adults, and then the older people should be covered. It shouldn't be a question of them having to beg for health insurance and have to go through all the red tape to obtain health care.
Thank you, Mrs. Borden. Mr. Scott?
Yeah, the answer is no. Not satisfied with it for a number of reasons. We are seeing many of our elderly go without the necessary health care because they simply don't have the support and the coverage, or indeed the access to be able to get to the healthcare providers. The other challenge we're seeing in the BRAC is they simply don't have the diagnostic equipment that they need, whether it's something like an MRI machine or a mammogram machine. Folks are having to leave Cayman Brac, travel to Grand Cayman in order to get tests run. Problem with that is many of them are aging, and it is a real struggle. My mother is 92 years old. In order to bring her to Grand Cayman for a simple mammogram, we would have to put her on an air ambulance. That is simply not good enough. And we are wasting money in so many other areas that we do need to provide this. These are the people who built this country for us, and it is on their shoulders we stand. We need to treat them better. Similarly, we need to make sure that children have full access, as we used to free health care. We need to ensure that there's wellness and there's guidance. We have a small community, but many of our people are struggling with the basics. And let us not forget mental health. We need more support in the BRAC. We need counselors on the ground, a full-time counselor. Many of our young people are struggling, and it is on an ad hoc basis that visiting counselors spend time with them. So not satisfied, and we need to do better. And we will do better.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Mr. Christian?
I can also say that I'm not impressed at all, not happy with this situation that we are going through with our healthcare. First, we need to put in place a plan with Seneco for our seniors, where they have coverage for not only HSA, but for any healthcare. And this also includes our children. We need to upgrade our health care facilities, as Mr. Scott mentioned. We need to modernize Cayman Brac District Hospital and ensure that it has the equipment and the resources needed to provide high quality care. Again, he just noted that we don't have the MRI machine, the CAT scan machines, and so forth enter what is called modernized hospital of Cayman Brac. We have no such thing. We should have our own cardiologists, our own. Where we're struggling right now because we had our own dentist and now they're getting rid of him. It seems like we are going backwards in this section of where we need help. We need to improve our mental health service. We'll expand access of mental health service, addressing the critical needs in our community that we see happening here in Grand Cayman, especially in the BRAC. We had 1 or 2 cases of that situation. We need to promote preventative health care. We'll invest in the public health initiatives to promote healthy lifestyles that they can prevent diseases such as heart and the other diseases that plague the people of Cayman. Seems like it's a plague on the people. But we need to upgrade we need to get our system up with that we can have better healthcare coverage for the people of the Cayman Islands, including our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christian.
Mr. Scott, round 4, we'll start with you. Are you satisfied with the current electricity costs in Cayman Brac? What are your thoughts on the potential for renewable energy solutions in the BRAC?
Thank you for the question. No, we're not satisfied with the current cost of electricity in Cayman Brac. And I don't think we're satisfied with it at the cost in Grand Cayman either. On the potential of renewable energy, I think there is a possibility, but we need to understand how are we going to do that? Because I think it is important to make sure everyone has the ability to have access to it, and that it is not just for those who are in a position to say put solar panels on their roof. We need to be thoughtful about how we do it, and we would advocate, for example, in the shorter term, that we would remove the fuel duty for Caymanians as it relates to the electricity production, whether in the Brac or in Grand Cayman. But I do think we need to look at alternatives, but also continue to explore not just renewables, but other cleaner energy sources, as opposed to simply just saying we're going to go to. I, for example, have a large solar array on my house, and I can tell you it requires a fair amount of maintenance. So that in itself may simply not be the answer. But I do think we need to continue to explore all the options to reduce the cost of electricity.
Mr. Scott, Mr. Christian.
I do have to agree. And I say no, I'm not happy with the cost of electricity on the Brac. It has always been a problem to the people on the Brac. And what created the problem was when they moved from the original meter boxes, they put in the system a pay as you go. The pay as you go is a handy device, but it only are there for the man for the individual that has money in his pocket at the time that can afford it. The original system was the meter, which you pay monthly. From the time they came away from that on Cayman Brac, the whole system went in array and destroyed the whole entire Cayman Brac. From the time they dropped the whole system, because people had 1 month to go and pay their bill. Now they have to have money in their pockets at all time, and the people don't have the work to have money in their pockets at all time to pay their bills. And the cost of the current on the electricity on Cayman Brac is outrageously ridiculous. It seemed like during the night while you're sleeping, and I challenge it, I've checked in the middle of the night, it seemed like they turned something on that the meter spins faster. And then it slows down as the morning come in. And I've done my checks on that time and time again and prove it, that something they're doing to cause the electricity cost to go up. If this is the case, so be it. But it has to be something done. In solar array, I tried it myself on my property on the bluff. It is the way to go. Possible to some, possible to the others, not so much. Because first of all, putting an array panel, most of the companies want to put it on your roof. During the hurricane, it comes and it tears the panel off the roof and your roof is destroyed. So it have to be a different solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christian. Mrs. Bond.
No, I'm not satisfied with the current electricity costs in the Brac. Government should have been given an option to purchase Cayman Brac Power and Light. That way we could control the cost of our electricity per kilowatt in the Brac, and they could control the fuel factor and by keeping it low, that way they didn't have to really make, say, a profit, but enough to pay staff, but to keep people not having to make so much sacrifices, because our water authority is controlled by government. It's an authority, so it's owned by government. So Cayman Brac Power and Light could have been done the same, and I wish we have the option to purchase CUC for the same reason, where we can control how much we spend on fuel and how much the electricity cost will be per consumer. The solar panels, yeah, that does work, but people in the Brac don't have that kind of money to afford to put panels on their roofs or any place else, because majority of the people that are in the Brac are retirees. So there's no way they can afford to go that route with the renewable energy solutions.
Well, thank you, candidates. We've gone through the first 4 questions. We're going to take a short commercial break. Please stay tuned.
Breathe.
EV public charging can be a bit tricky to navigate if you're new to the game. But fear not. Here's a little 101 on all things public charging at your CUC charge station. The first tip is to get the mobile app up and ready on your phone before you charge your EV at the charging location. You can scan the QR code to load the app from sitting in your car. Download the mobile app, register a charge account, load money into your charge wallet. You must have a minimum of US $5 balance in your charge wallet to begin a charging session. Scan the QR code again to start a charging session using this charger. You can also enter the station ID number into the app. Follow the instructions on the mobile app to initiate your charging session. Now you're ready to charge your EV. Select either the right or the left charge plug. Plug your car in and make sure it shows as charging on your dashboard. Charging for 1 hour will give you up to 35 miles of charge. Charging to 80% optimizes battery life and reduces the risk of overcharging. So in that time, you can shop or go to work or chat with fellow EV owners. It's a real community out there. Great to see you, Maya. Happy charging, everyone. See you on the road.
When you run your own business, you have a career as an accountant, stock taker, delivery driver, therapist, legal expert, mother, father, and the rest. But there's one area you don't need to be an expert in. At Brava, we take the complexity out of your business solutions. We keep it simple, so you can get along with doing what you do. Brava, the Simplify My Business company.
Welcome back to the Chamber of Commerce Candidates Forum for the constituency of Cayman Brac East. Gone through the first 4 questions. Now in the second round, and the topic will be, the first question will be on air service. And I turn it over to Omari.
You will. Mr. Christian, we'll start with you for question number 5.
Thank you.
Cayman Brac depends on Cayman Airways for air travel. Do you believe the current service meets community needs? And if not, what changes would you push for?
Thank you for the question, Omar. This is right up my alley. I was a fireman, and I try to educate the people of the flights that circulate throughout the Cayman Islands between here, Little Cayman, and Cayman Brac. The amount of flights that make up, they call movements, according to air traffic. They're not called flights, they're called movements. The number that make up the most movements in the Cayman Islands are not the foreign flights. It's the flights between Grand Cayman, Little Cayman, and Cayman Brac. They make up the majority of the flights with Cayman Airways. No other company that come in flying here makes up enough as the Twin Otter and the Saab and Cayman Airways Max 8. The issue with the flights to the Brac, we have to put something in place for that. We are struggling to have flights into Cayman Brac. When we have community events here in Grand Cayman, we can't get our children from the Brac to Grand Cayman because we don't have the amount of flights. We have an issue with if we when we need, one of the things that I try to advocate for is some are flights that are coming to the BRAC that is not completely full. I know they go by weight, and it should be without they use some of those flights to bring some of the people packages from Grand Cayman that they so long wait for in the BRAC to the BRAC. But we are locking flights into Cayman Brac during the day. There's the sub makes up most of the flights. The twin otter owner flies to Little Cayman in a certain time. She has to be cut off because she cannot enter there after 6 o'clock because of restrictions at the tower. And we need the flights into Cayman Brac. We need, either the government needs to put in place another twin otter or another sub. Whichever one. I reached out many times to the members in government and told them they need to buy a ATR 62-700. That will settle the whole problem. That is the route to go. So we need more flights coming into Cayman Brac. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christian. Mrs. Borden?
The services that was provided to the BRAC it's on schedule, and the aircraft that we have now, which is the Saab, they have reached their age limit. So we do need new aircrafts for the BRAC. So I've campaigned on 2 new aircrafts for the BRAC, which would be the ATR 70s, which holds 50 to 70 passengers, which years in 2013, when we had got the first Saabs, they worked. But now that Cayman Brac is growing, the demand for more space on our aircrafts is happening. So we have to upgrade again to accommodate the demand that we have with our services, because when you get to Cayman, you can't get back, or if you're in the BRAC, you can't get vice versa. You're stuck, and then you have to break short your travel plans because you have to get to flight whatever one will work for you. So we do need to push for some changes to increase our aircrafts for the BRAC, but based on the services is the best we can do for now. And the only days that we don't have full service would be on Tuesdays, because we make sure that our airline all our aircrafts are serviced and up to par. That's why we are one of the safest airlines in the world. So that would be the only day that we have minimal flights to the BRAC, which I think the schedule only calls for 2, one in the morning and one in the evening, which is on a Tuesday.
Thank you, Mrs. Borden. Mr. Scott?
So, yeah, the question is, do you believe the current service meets community needs? I think Cayman Airways has been doing a really good job on delivering the service in Cayman Brac. I do believe we are at a stage where we need to look at new aircraft to replace the Saab. You're getting loads of downtime for service and otherwise. But I think overall they've done a good job, and we now need to plan for the next phase of this. One of the other things I do think, though, that perhaps we've come up a bit short on is the transportation of cargo. It used to be that Cayman Brackers could come to Cayman, or indeed place orders and from stores down here and have it delivered up on a Friday evening when the jet lands. For whatever reason, that practice was stopped. And that, I think, is one of the opportunities that we have in the short term to try and make things more affordable for folks in Cayman Brac. If Cayman Airways is already flying with a cargo hold that is half empty, it seems to me that we could be bringing food or other products up to the BRAC at a much reduced cost and use that extra capacity to do so, and indeed help our people over there. Because it's a real challenge with cost of living, and Cayman Brackers are indeed in many cases having to pay twice to get it there. When it's imported into Cayman, they they pay port charges, and then again in the BRAC. This way, I think we can better utilize the equipment we currently have, even as we plan for new equipment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Mrs. Bodden, question 6, I'll start with you. It has to do with aging population. Are the needs of the BRAC's elderly population being adequately addressed? If not, what specific measures would you propose to support them?
The needs of the elderly is not being met, and in ways where some are shut-ins and no one checks on them, and even if they have a caregiver, no one checks to make sure that they're being properly cared for. So I've campaigned on that, where I want to put it in place that they will be checked on regularly to ensure that they're properly cared for and that their needs are met. And if there's something that they need, if something is broken, then we can fix it without them having to go through so much red tape. They should not be just left at home. If they're able, we should have someone that would say, let me take you for a drive. Let them still be part of the community and fit in, not just sitting there waiting for their life to end. And that's pretty much what is happening to our elderly in the BRAC. They're not paid any attention, and they need to be more mobile than to just be left to sit alone.
Thank you, Mrs. Bodden. Mr. Scott?
Yes, thank you for the question. The answer is no. They have been, in many respects, abandoned and ignored. These are the people that built this country for us. These are the people that nurtured us. Today, they're finding themselves in a position that to simply get to the hospital for a doctor's appointment, they're struggling to do that. Some of them have to reach out and find someone or ask for rides. That is something that we should have available. Either a doctor goes to them, or indeed we have an appropriate vehicle that will pick them up and take them there. But it doesn't stop there. I've had the occasion to visit people in their homes. These are elderly people in their 90s, and they're having to tiptoe on their floor for fear that it will collapse and they will fall through it. That is simply not good enough. How can we as a country, who we spend on everything else, we cannot take care of our elderly? That is a benchmark of who we are and who we should be. We need to move to make sure in the short term there's better care for these folks. Many of them have reached the stage they don't simply have the pensions to take care of themselves. I know, for example, with my mother, we currently have her, she lives in the BRAC. We have to have 3 full-time helpers around the clock. Many folks are struggling, they don't have that. And then when we look at the home for the elderly, again, much needs to be done around that. Just the caretakers, we need people who are looking after our loved ones and simply not viewing them as a burden. We need to do better, we can do better. It is very sad the way they are treated, and we must do better. And it is one of the things that I, along with my party, the CINP, are very focused on, is how do we make a positive difference for our elderly? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Mr. Christian?
Thank you for the question. My answer to this is, are the needs of the Cayman Brac elderly population being adequately addressed? The answer is absolutely not. Absolutely no. I say that because of numerous amount of elderlies. Speaking about that, as a matter of fact, only yesterday I had to take a elderly lady a gallon of coconut water, and it cost $20 for it. But I took it for her out of love. $20 for a bottle of coconut water, gallon of coconut water, and that is how we're supposed to do for our elderly. But I'm coming back to my first point. During Paloma, Paloma destroyed the majority of homes in Cayman Brac. And there was an elderly woman, and I addressed this on the talk show with both OC and Sterling, time and time and time again for months upon months and years upon years from 2008, Paloma. Her roof was destroyed, and she lived in her house with rain pouring in on her when it rains. Totally unacceptable. District admin did nothing. The government did nothing. I addressed it over and over and over until they got enough of hearing me on that radio. And now they sent a gentleman and his crew there just a couple months ago. If not November gone, January gone. That is when her roof got fixed. By me having, who am I to come out and challenge government government officials on the radio to get help for our seniors? That's what I do. That is my purpose in life, because my father taught me that way, my mother taught me that way, and I put my all out there to the people of Cayman Brac to help them. And even if I have to take my my experience in construction and go out and do for them, I do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christian.
Mr. Scott, we'll start with you for question number 7. And to the candidates, the next 2 questions are based on the Chamber pillar of building a future-ready workforce. Do you support building the new Cayman Brac High School? What benefits or concerns do you see with the current proposal?
Thank you for the question. Cayman Brac needs investment in infrastructure. And the question around the Cayman Brac High School is quite a hot topic. What I do find interesting, however, is that we haven't talked about the Georgetown $8 or $10 million park in the same way. And relatively speaking, I think that is equally as troubling. From the standpoint of the school, I have no problems with building a school on the Brac. The question, however, is, are we getting value for money? Is it being built in a way that it makes sense? And the other really key question is, are Cayman Brackers getting jobs from such a large-scale infrastructure project? And the answer to the second part of it is no. Indeed, what we're seeing is even contractors or subcontractors putting in proposals that are set aside because primary contractors are looking to bring cheap labor in to do the work instead of paying the subs. From where I sit, we do need to sit back and ask the question. There are similar examples in Cayman where there's recently been a school built, which I'm told houses 360 children, and that school apparently cost in the region of $15 million. So I do have concerns about the spend on it, and I would challenge us to give consideration as to why we are so different for building a school which, as I understand it, would be similar in size. One of the other possibilities as we're thinking of this school is whether or not we could also build something and use it for TVET in addition to a regular school for the Brac, but also perhaps make it a TVET Center of Excellence for the Cayman Islands. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Mr. Christian?
The answer is, if I support the building, I have nothing against Cayman Brac having an opportunity to have a new school. What I am against is that the tendering was given out to certain contractors, but none of the local contractors got a piece of the pie. That is what I am against. The Cayman Brac High School of that magnitude, we don't need it, because we don't have the children We don't have that amount of children for that magnitude of a building. It's something that they're talking about, that the old school, what I would like to see done if that school is being built, is I would like to see the old high school, the changes on the roof, because they claim it has asbestos, but yet today our children is still in that school, but yet the government is saying it has asbestos. I don't know who brought up that stupid comment and remark, and I know I don't want to ponder on that, but that school that we have now, I would like to see that turn into a trade school for the Brac. Turn that whole campus into a trade school, which back in the 80s we had a trade school in the Brac, and they did away with it. But now we need it back. But the Brac High School is a problem to me because it's not giving Cayman Brac contractors no work. That is an issue in my book. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Christian. Mrs. Borden?
I do support the building of a new school for the Brac, but as I worked in finance for years, of course, I will scrutinize the cost. The benefits of that school, we can promote sports tourism, medical tourism, and use that facility. With the old school, like I campaigned on, would be for a TVET and trade school. That way it could help kids from here spend like 3 days over there to learn a trade so they're not left behind. The school is being pushed to be completed in 2 years. If we stretch it out for 4 years, more Brackers would get jobs there. They do have contractors that are Cayman Brackers actually, but because we're forcing it to be completed in 2 years, we've had to bring people in on a labor scale to make that happen faster. But if we stretch it out for 4 years, then more of the contractors in the Brac would get more of the work.
Thank you, Mrs. Borden.
For round 8, Mr. Christian, we'll start with you. Still on education. BRAC students have consistently achieved strong academic results. What lessons can Grand Cayman schools learn from the BRAC's success?
I don't know if I should say that the Cayman children are less, that makes it sound like they're less educated than the children of Cayman Brac High School. I wouldn't go as far as even thinking that, but I know back in my days of going to Cayman Brac High School, we produced some of the best educated kids coming out of our school, Cayman Brac High School. And I would like to see it remain Cayman Brac High School because it was for us, the people. And my class was the largest class to ever graduate Cayman Brac High School up to date. And we produced some of the smartest, I wish I was one of them, children in that class. The majority of them was all A students. I was lucky enough to get an O level in one subject, and I hold dearly to that today. I'm proud of that, knowing that I was standing up against giants that was so much smarter than I was. But today I am much stronger than them. But anyway, the education system, to me, then we were using the English system. Today they went, now I think they come back to the English system, but they went to the Caribbean system, which I don't think was producing the quality of education that the kids was producing under the education system from the British system. And that is why I'm thinking I don't want to really say again that the children coming out of Cayman Brac are smarter and are more educated or have better degrees than the ones in Grand Cayman. I don't want to compare the two, but the Brac students are academically smart because a lot of them are pushed to the limits because they don't have the amount of distractions that some of the kids here in Grand Cayman have. The only distraction they have is their technology. And we need to get rid of that to try to make sure our children learn more from the schools instead of their cell phones. So within that, I would leave that as that. I wouldn't want to mention nothing more about in other schools. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christian. Mrs. Bodden?
What I would say for Grand Cayman to learn from Cayman Brac's success is that the classroom size makes a big difference, and the support of the teachers. Because if a child doesn't show up to school, the principal knows and he will call to find out. So the teachers are very vigilant with what's going on with the students, and if we also support the teachers, that would make a big difference. Because in Grand Cayman, I see where when teachers are pushing the parents are pushing against the teachers, they're not getting the support that they should get to help their own children. So that makes a big difference. And also the discipline, that also makes a big difference with children in Cayman Brac, because it takes a community to raise a child. And in the Brac, that is how it is still worked. And you have kids that have already graduated that volunteers their time to tutor kids that is struggling. So that also helps make a difference in the Brac. But class size is a big concern for why the Brac kids are achieving higher grades than Grand Cayman is.
Thank you, Mrs. Bodden. Mr. Scott?
Thank you for the question. Cayman Brac has done a really good job of focusing on the importance of education, recruiting the right teachers who care deeply and inspire, and having parents who participate in the success of their children. And indeed, as a broader community, they all come together and celebrate academic achievement. And I think at the core of it, that is what the success of the Brac has consistently been, is that a community, parents, and indeed good teachers, that combination, you win every time, whatever the challenges you have, whatever building you're operating out of, whatever the shortcomings may be. It is a simple formula, and it works in the Brac because people care. And as a result of that, children feel nurtured, they feel challenged, and they feel celebrated. So that, I think, is the secret sauce. But if we can deliver that across the Cayman Islands, we get back to a time and a place where education was important and our students will excel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Thank you, candidates. We've gone through the second round of questions. We're going to take a short commercial break. When we return, the final round of questions. Please stay with us.
At CUC, we care about helping our customers. Here are some quick energy saving tips from CUC so you can use less energy and save money. Set your AC Smart thermostat to maintain an indoor temperature of 87 degrees Fahrenheit or higher when you are away from home, and have the temperature cool to a comfortable 78 degrees Fahrenheit or higher when you arrive home. Adding insulation can cut your cooling costs by 15 to 45%, depending on your home's size and current insulation. Focus on insulating your attic, walls, and windows for the best results. For your laundry, avoid over-drying clothes. Not only does it waste energy, but it also harms fabrics. Dry towels and heavier cottons separately from lighter weight fabrics to save energy. Your TV and gaming setup can be big energy consumers. Save costs by reducing in-game settings and turning off your console when not in use. Remember, every small step counts. Use energy wisely and make a big difference in your energy bills and the environment.
When you run your own business, you have a career as an accountant, stock taker, delivery driver, therapist, legal expert, mother, father, and the rest. But there's one area you don't need to be an expert in. At Brava, we take the complexity out of your business solutions. We keep it simple, so you can get along with doing what you do. Brava, the Simplify My Business company.
Welcome back to the Chamber of Commerce Candidates Forum for the constituency of Cayman Brac East. Gone through 8 questions. Now the final round of questions, and we'll begin on the topic of the Port Zeus proposal. I'll turn it over to Omar.
Thank you, Will. The next 3 questions are based on the Chamber's pillar of sustaining economic success, and Mrs. Borden will start with you for question number 9. If the proposed Port Zeus project passes environmental and regulatory reviews, would you support it? Why or why not?
I would not support it because people come to the Cayman Islands to enjoy what we have to offer. So we should not be having to change our environment to accommodate anyone else. That is how I feel about the Port Zeus.
Thank you, Mrs. Borden. Mr. Scott?
My view on Port Zeus or anything else that we are doing in Cayman Brac comes down to what do the people of Cayman Brac, what do the Cayman Brackers want? One of the things I had the opportunity to do was attend the meeting where they were going through the whole EIA process. I was actually very pleased with it. It is very comprehensive. It gives the citizen, the Cayman Brackers, and indeed broadly the Cayman Islands citizens, the opportunity to comment, to give feedback, and give input. And I think it's a very rigorous process that they undertake in coming to a conclusion. So from where I sit at the end of the day, it really does come down to if it passes all the environmental and regulatory reviews, Cayman Brackers would have had their chance, they would have given their input, and they would have had the consideration. And if the majority of Cayman Brackers do support it, I indeed would support it as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Mr. Christian?
Well, let me first say that there's pros and cons on this Port Zeus, and I was one of them that stood up against Mr. Schilling and challenged him that night in that meeting regarding Port Zeus. And my question to him was, who is this going to benefit? This is not something to benefit the people of Cayman Brac. It's not going to benefit Cayman Brackers at all, because he's going to bring in cheap labor, and the Brackers doesn't work for cheap labor. So it doesn't work for the people of Cayman Brac. And for him to put, or for that port to be, that project to go through in a marine zone, a diving zone, supposed to be regulated by environmental, the DOE, and it's not being challenged It was just something thrown out there, brought to the people at the meeting that night. And there was only three Cayman Brackers that stood up that night. It was me, my oldest daughter, and my youngest daughter against Mr. Schilling regarding Port Zeus. It's a disaster waiting to happen for the people of West End. Some say they like it because they're all for him. And the majority of Brackers say they don't want it because it's not going to be beneficial to the people of Cayman Brac. They're going to lose their land. They're going to lose their businesses in that area. And he has a purpose to put his own restaurants in all of those facilities going to be prioritized with things that the people on Cayman Brac depend on for their living. We do not need such a port or such a project in Cayman Brac, especially in that area where flooding concern is going to happen. 1932 went through that area and killed everything in West End, almost everybody in West End, and they do not want that to happen. If a bad surge comes through that area, it's going to wipe out the entire area, that sector of West End. Cayman Brac doesn't need that kind of disaster. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Christian.
Mr. Scott, round 10, diversification of the economy. We'll start with you. What practical steps would you take to diversify the Cayman Brac economy and create new opportunities for its residents?
Thank you for the question. I think there's a real opportunity in Cayman Brac to welcome jobs in the private sector from our leading industry in the Cayman Islands, which is financial services. The way I think we could seek to do that is to welcome back Cayman Brackers or Caymanians to be able to work remotely in Cayman Brac in the short term, even as folks are developing office facilities and otherwise. But we today live in a world where you're connected wherever you are. And I would seek to encourage firms such as the one that I led for a number of years within the financial services industry to allow that to happen. And as a result of that, we would bring high-paying jobs back to Cayman Brac. The knock-on effect of that was that as you bring families back to the Brac, you then create the opportunities that people are going to be building homes or offices or otherwise, that for contractors in the Brac or folks getting into areas such as electricians, mason, contractors, they have the opportunity because you will be building new homes. And as a result of that, overall, I think you start to now create a new type of economy, and young people are getting opportunities to work in a variety of areas. So the starting point, I think, and the catalyst would be bringing back the financial services jobs, and the knock-on effect would allow that to be in a much broader economy within Cayman Brac.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Mr. Christian?
Thank you for the question. This comes right back to almost the Port Zeus project again, because we got to be careful of the investors that come into our country. We need a sustainable economic development. We know that it's crucial, very crucial. We have to develop a clear and transparent investment policy. This will attract responsible investors while ensuring environmental and cultural safeguards are in place. It almost comes right back to the Port Zeus. Promote ecotourism. We'll focus on attracting tourism interested in sustainable and responsible travel, minimizing the environmental impact. Support local businesses. We'll provide resources and initiatives to help local businesses grow and create jobs. Our economy is in a dire need. There's little or none opportunities for our children in Cayman Brac, and that's sad, because the children doesn't want to go to work for the private sectors, not even to the banks. They refuse to go work for. because of the pay. Because of being private sector, they don't want to work because they have no benefits that they're gonna that the private sector offer to them. And this is where the opportunities come into. Government have to create more opportunities for our residents in Cayman Brac, on Cayman Brac, and stop focusing on the rubbish that they're fighting over here in Grand Cayman. Focus on Cayman Brac a little bit for a while. See where the opportunities up there that the children need so badly for years. Because we send our children to colleges for 4 years and they come back with the highest degrees in doctrine and everything else, and they won't give the children the opportunities in these jobs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Christian. Mrs. Bodden?
The practical steps to diversify Cayman Brac economy would be to bring some of the jobs back home that have been taken away from us in the last couple years, which would also do with the Cayman Brac District Administration. Majority of everything has to be approved and done through Grand Cayman, which made those jobs redundant. So we need to bring those back home because we're being controlled by Grand Cayman. If you go to Lands and Survey and ask for a copy of a piece of paper, you have to actually send an email and get it approved in Grand Cayman before you can get that copy. There's no reason why we can't have someone in there to do that job. To pay the bills, everything has to go through Grand Cayman for customs, immigration. It all comes to Grand Cayman to get paid. We had people there that was doing that job, and now that's gone. Those jobs can be filled by school leavers. We're looking at finding and bringing jobs in there that people that non-Caymanians are filling, and that's unacceptable. We should be able to attach the immigration and work and let them apply and compare what you're requesting for an employee and fit it across with a Caymanian, because what is happening is they're putting in for work permits for someone and during that time and deploying a Caymanian for only 6 months. And when that permit is approved, they let go of that Caymanian, then make them sign a paper saying that they're not going to go to immigration, or if they do, they're not going to get their last salaries. So as Caymanians are trying to get jobs and we're trying to bring them back home, we need to address a lot of the issues of what is causing our problems in the BRAC.
Thank you, Mrs. Bodden.
Mr. Christian, we'll start with you for question number 11. What actions would you take to grow tourism in the Cayman Islands? Where do you see the most significant potential for improvement?
Growing tourism in the Cayman Islands is a crucial part of our growth, our survival. But when I think of Cayman Brac having a chance to grow in tourism, it hurts me to know that the government has taken all of our chances and sold them to private investors. We had chances that we could own the Cayman Brac Tiara Beach, which is one of the largest beach stretches of beach on Cayman Brac. And our government turned around and sold it to this special individual that we all know on these islands, the 4-letter name. It took about 10 years of me having to challenge again many members in government, many MPs on the radio regarding this, because our tourism rely on Our islands rely on the tourists coming to the islands and having places to go. Now that we have put in place cruise ship to come to the island, and if it not for Scott Development that created an artificial beach on their property, the tourists wouldn't have no beach to go to. Absolutely no beach. They don't have nothing. And the government could do something about it. They stood and did absolutely nothing to protect our island for the future of our tourism. Our tourism product in Cayman Brac is as weak as you can find it. We have the living quarters, but we don't have the flights to sustain the amount of tourism that we need to support our islands. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Christian. Mrs. Borden.
To improve our tourism in the Cayman Islands, I think Caymanians need to be at the front, be the first face you see as you enter our airports or any port that we have. Our tour operators should be Caymanians. The people that work in the tourism, the hotels, they should mostly be Caymanians because they come here for our culture, and we are losing our culture by other cultures that has influenced us. You do not go to any other Caribbean island and find other nationalities at their forefront. That is what we have lost. We have lost who we are because we're outnumbered. And we have to put that back. There should be restrictions where born and bred Caymanians are at the forefront of any tourist attraction. They should not have to interact with other languages that we have been forced to accept and try to understand. We can improve our tourism, not only just for diving, as we are known as one of the #1 places to dive, but we have other attractions. We have the caves. So my question is, out of the $56 million that have just been awarded to the tourism department, how much of that is going to be allocated to promote Cayman Brac? Because we're always seeing Cayman Islands, promoting the Cayman Islands, but where's the pictures of Cayman Brac? Where's the pictures of our caves, our people, what we have to offer besides Grand Cayman?
Thank you, Mrs. Borden. Mr. Scott.
Thank you for the question. I think at the core of it, the question we have to ask is quality versus quantity. And when you talk about what actions to grow our tourism, I think we really need a discussion as to what are numbers, what sort of numbers do we want? And then it leads us into the whole conversation around who are we building it for? It used to be that on the West Bay Beach, people in particular from West Bay were the ambassadors who built the tourism product. It's the reason people came to the island. People built relationship, felt like family. Similarly, in Cayman Brac, that's the way it was. People returned to the Brac because they had met these very special people who served in the hospitality industry, and they did it because there was joy in them doing it. And they brought that sense of community. That's why the product launched, and it was incredibly successful. The challenge we have today is whether it's in Cayman Brac or along the 7 Mile Beach, you struggle to spot the Caymanian or the Cayman Bracer. So where do I think the most significant improvement is that we need to stop, take a deep breath, and revisit the quality of the product that we are delivering for our visitors, and seek to improve that and seek to involve Caymanians to get back to our glory days when people came here for the reason, and they didn't come once, They were repeat visitors, and in many cases made it their home away from home. So I do think it comes down to the value of our people, and they will make a difference because frankly, they are the best ambassadors, and business and the tourism industry will continue to thrive if we allow our people back in to deliver the very special service that only they can deliver.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
All right, home stretch. Last question, Mrs. Bodden. We'll start with you, and it's a simple question in that it's very short, but I don't know if the answers will be as simple. What is your plan to address the Georgetown landfill?
The Georgetown landfill. What about Cayman Brac's landfill? Same problem. We need to really focus on the recycling, because if we recycle properly, we can use like cardboards and foods to use back for fertilizers for plants. So we do really need to look at how we can break down the way that we're disposing of our trash. And we have to do the same thing in Cayman Brac. So in a question that you put to me, I will refer back to Cayman Brac, because we have this, what's happening here is happening over there. So it needs to be addressed on a whole, not just Grand Cayman, but also Cayman Brac landfill. As we saw a couple weeks ago, the mess that occurred over there. So Georgetown landfill do really needs to be sorted so that we can use their same example and fix our problem in the Brac.
Thank you, Mrs. Bodden. Mr. Scott?
I think, and going to the broader point, and this covers all three islands, I do think we need to develop and look at a modular, much smaller than what was being proposed on the failed regen project, which I think was, as you would have seen from the Auditor General report, was destined to fail from the time the Progressive signed it. A more modular plant, and one in each of the locations, much smaller and working on waste to energy, at the same time combined with recycling, and in particular around composting. Those things I think that we get focused on, and on the back of that, a whole process around educating our people to be more diligent on what they buy and how they deal with waste, because we produce as individuals a lot of waste, and there's better ways that we can do that. But clearly that comes with us thinking about it, being educated, making sure we're getting it in the right bin. But I think overall, if we focus on those things, and then clearly on the recycling, figure out where we get partners that will, we can ship tires and things such as that off island. But there's no question that has to be an absolute priority for us as a government going in, as the Cayman Islands National Party, and it will be one of the first things we seek to address, and this time deliver on.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Mr. Christian?
Thank you for the question. The proposing landfill called Mount Trashmore. That has been an eyesore for the people of Cayman for many years. And the government doesn't seem to have a solution. If you watch the news in Miami, Florida, right now they are going through the same identical crisis. The landfill has exceeded its size and limit and height. Cayman Brac is another problem because we have a bluff right back of the landfill that is about 30 feet high, and now it's leveling with the top of the bluff. I used to work for DEH, and we started recycling. We started shipping plastics, aluminum cans. I picked up hundreds and hundreds of aluminum cans separated from plastics and other garbage per day, per week, per month, for the year. Hundreds of pounds, and it take a lot of plastic to make 100 pounds. And it sat there for months in the containers. And finally they decided to ship it down because the recycling system didn't work. The incinerator didn't work. They needed new incinerators, and that is what caused these problems in these landfills. If they don't have proper incinerators, they're going to end up in problems. They use the stuff that coming in from the gardeners. They should have that mulch. They had a mulcher and it got damaged. They now replaced it. Get a new mulcher. This problem had been solved. Get the other garbage. Get bins put with that. People can put their recycling plastic cans and everything. Educate the people that they can use these bins for that purpose. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank the candidates. We've gone through 12 questions. We're going to take a short commercial break. And when we return, closing statements by each candidate.
When you run your own business, you have a career as an accountant, stock taker, delivery driver, therapist, legal expert, mother, father, and the rest. But there's one area you don't need to be an expert in. At Brava, we take the complexity out of your business solutions. We keep it simple, so you can get along with doing what you do. Brava, the Simplify My Business company.
Why is my bill higher? These days, it might seem like the cost of everything is going up here in Cayman. When it comes to your energy bill, this may be no exception. You may be wondering why your bill is higher when you haven't done anything different in your home. Here are some common factors that will increase your energy usage. As temperatures outside increase, your air conditioning unit has to run longer to keep your house cool, even if you haven't adjusted the thermostat. During the summer months, cooling your home can make up more than half of your energy bill. It's important to maintain your AC so that it can function as efficiently as possible. Changing your AC filters can also help with ensuring units are functioning properly. Remember, for every degree you turn up your thermostat, you can save on your monthly energy cost. Turn off your AC when no one is home. Thermostat should not be set any lower than 78 degrees. Also consider closing blinds and drapes on the sunny side of your home. This will help reduce the temperature inside your home. Remember to consider energy waste. Think about the items in your home that are using energy, like gaming computers and ceiling fans. Always unplug and turn these items off when they are not in use or needed. This will help you conserve. Now that you have some energy saving tips, you can track your consumption daily on MyCUC. Learn more at www.cuc-cayman.com.
Welcome back to the Chamber of Commerce Candidates Forum for the constituency of Cayman Brac East. We've gone through 12 questions. Now we turn to each candidate for closing remarks, and we begin with Mr. Dan Scott.
Thank you. Thank you to the Chamber for hosting this. Thank you to Mr. Christian and Ms. Baden. And thank you to our viewers, and most importantly, thank you to our voters and viewers from Cayman Brac East. This election is about change. It is about electing someone who will work hard to make your life better. No longer will you have to accept being treated like second-class citizens in your own country. Along with the Cayman Islands National Party, I will work diligently to reduce your cost of living. I will work to ensure that healthcare in Cayman Brac is enhanced to avoid you having to travel far too often to Grand Cayman for the requisite healthcare. I will ensure that Cayman Brackers are prioritized for jobs and well-paying jobs. I will work with the private sector to bring more well-paying jobs to Cayman Brac. We will invest in infrastructure such as expansion of airports, a police station on the bluff, a fire station for the Eastern District on the bluff, a new crane for the port, just to name a few. It was also suggested by some that I intended to roll back salary increases and other benefits for civil servants. That is not true. It was also rumored that I would cut back on pensions and seaman benefits. Again, not true. It has further been circulated that I would cut the headcount in public works. Yet again, not true. 3 for 3 not true stories. I wonder who has been telling these stories. Every one of the increases civil servants, seamen, and pensioners have received have been long overdue. Brackers have been left behind for far too long. My goal is to change that. Along with the Cayman Islands National Party, I will prioritize you. I commit to being a leader that serves you and not someone that wants to be served by you. On April 30th, vote Layman Daniel Scott, number 5, for Cayman Brac East, and vote the candidates of the Cayman Islands National Party. God bless you.
Mr. James Christian.
Thank you, panel. Thank you again, Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Will, Omar, Shamari. Thank you very much for having me tonight, next to Mr. Dan, Mr. Rufan. My closing comments, I would like to just say that I thank the people of Cayman Brac for selecting me to be a part of them. This is not a movement. I would just like to clear that up. This is reality. A realistic time for you, the people of Cayman Brac East, to make the right choice on April the 30th, to vote for number 2, James Albert, the bottler man, Christian. It's time to put a Cayman Bracer back on the map for the people. The only Cayman Bracer that you're looking at tonight. We have, for the past 20 years, got little or no results for Brackers to live in comfort. I promise to fight for you, the people of Cayman Brac, and the people of the Cayman Islands in whole. As long as I'm given breath by the grace of God Almighty, I will always be there for you, the people. As long as you want me to be, I'll be there. I never left you before, and I won't leave you now. I promise you all that I did before, and I promise in you now what I will promise to do in the future for you again. And that is to make sure that Cayman Brac receive what Cayman Brac is supposed to get. I won't be like others here today and gone tomorrow. Now that you can rest assured on. Never again until next 3 years you'll see them. That not me. You'll see me every time you get a chance. You know where I live. You know my number. Don't be afraid. I got plenty of bottlers who will come and get them. But I want you all, the people of Cayman Brac East, to think wisely and choose wisely. To vote number 2, your new hope for better for Cayman Brac East. Like I said, the real Bracker. come April the 30th. Think wisely, choose number 2, James Albert Christian. Thank you very much.
Mrs. Ruth Ann Bodden.
In 2004, after Hurricane Ivan, I rescued a lady. And in 2007, I learned that some boats were being created for the Cayman Islands to protect their borders. I advocated for a boat for Cayman Brac. She was later called the Cayman Defender. In 2008, we were struck by Hurricane Paloma. I was one of the first ones on the ground in the Brac to assist my people. I purchased food and distributed it to my people in the Brac. I don't speak often about the things that I do because when you do that, then it does not come from the heart. It comes from you looking credits. In 2013, I approached then Mr. Alden McLaughlin to create a Cayman Islands Coast Guard to protect our borders better. He would think about it. 2015, we lost 5 people, 2 were children. 2016, I went back at it again. In 2018, the Cayman Islands Coast Guard came to light. In 2021, it was its own entity. Why I am explaining this? If I can do all of that by being just a regular patriotic Caymanian, what can I do for you as a member of parliament? So on April the 30th, stop at the top, vote number 1, Ruth Bodden.
Thank you, candidates. Now I'll turn it over to Mr. Amari Corbin, President of the Chamber, for some closing remarks.
Thanks, Will. On behalf of the Chamber Council and staff, I'd like to thank Mrs. Ruth Ann Borden, Mr. James Christian, and Mr. Dan Scott for participating in this evening's forum. I trust that this forum will help Cayman Brac East voters make informed decisions about who to vote for when they go to the polls on April 30th. I'd also like to thank Ashley Furniture and Home Store, CUC, Foster's, and Logic for sponsoring the Chamber's candidate forums. Please join us tomorrow evening as we welcome the 2 candidates from Cayman Brac West and Little Cayman, Nicholas DaCosta and Lonnie Lee Tibbetts. Please note that all forums will be posted on the Chamber's YouTube channel for your future reference. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope that you will join us tomorrow evening. Do have a restful night.
EV public charging can be a bit tricky to navigate if you're new to the game. But fear not. Here's a little 101 on all things public charging at your CUC charge station. The first tip is to get the mobile app up and ready on your phone before you charge your EV at the charging location. You can scan the QR code to load the app from sitting in your car. Download the mobile app, register a charge account, load money into your charge wallet. You must have a minimum of US $5 balance in your charge wallet to begin a charging session. Scan the QR code again to start a charging session using this charger. You can also enter the station ID number into the app. Follow the instructions on the mobile app to initiate your charging session. Now you're ready to charge your EV. Select either the right or the left charge plug. Plug your car in and make sure it shows as charging on your dashboard. Charging for 1 hour will give you up to 35 miles of charge. Charging to 80% optimizes battery life and reduces the risk of overcharging. So in that time, you can shop or go to work or chat with fellow EV owners. It's a real community out there. Great to see you, Maya. Happy charging, everyone. See you on the road.
When you run your own business, you have a career as an accountant, stock taker, delivery driver, therapist, legal expert, mother, father, and the rest. But there's one area you don't need to be an expert in. At Brava, we take the complexity out of your business solutions. We keep it simple, so you can get along with doing what you do. Brava, the Simplify My Business company.